Welcome to Stars Launch Pod, where we chat with innovators who are overcoming challenges, pushing boundaries, and collaborating to make space more accessible and sustainable for humanity, one launch at a time.
It's one small step for man.
Here's your host, Susan Wise.
Welcome to Stars Launch Pod, Space Technology and Research Sciences, brought to you by starsciences.org, where we connect, collaborate, and accelerate. I'm your host, Susan Wise, and thrilled to have with us Dr. George Nield, Chairman of the Global Spaceport Alliance, the voice of the growing global spaceport community. He has over 35 years of aerospace experience with the Air Force, at NASA, and in private industry. Dr. Nield, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. It's my pleasure to be on.
I'd like to hear a little bit more about you and what you're doing right now to help further the space industry and more about your company.
Well, I've been interested in space my whole life. As you mentioned, I served as a flight test engineer in the Air Force, worked on the space shuttle program at NASA, was in industry for a few years, and then led the FAA's Office of Commercial Space Transportation for a number of years. So all that was very exciting. After I retired from the government, I decided it wasn't a good time just to sit back and read a book. There was just too much exciting going on. And so one of the things I'm doing now is chairing the Global Spaceport Alliance. That's a group that was established back in 2015. And the goal really is to develop a network of spaceports all around the world, both to ensure access to space for all users and to facilitate the continued growth of the global space economy. So right now we have 104 members, 16 countries all around the world, 6 of the 7 continents. And it's really very exciting. We're getting a lot of interest in what we're doing.
What exactly does a spaceport look like? Is this just a virtual group or is it an actual port?
So there are certainly analogies to seaports and airports and so forth, but we like to think a little bit more broadly about what a spaceport can be. And so usually there is an opportunity to launch rockets vertically or horizontally, but there also can be many other different kinds of activities. And it's a way to help the community, industry, academia, all get engaged in the exciting things that are going on in space these days.
Is this something that could go alongside, say, at a regular airport, or is it something that has to be, set aside individually somewhere else?
Great question. I think it really depends on the kind of operations that we're talking about. Typically over the years, we've done our rocket launches away from the general public, fly out over the ocean in case something goes wrong with the rocket and so forth, or out in the desert. But these days, as we have reusable launch vehicles and we're learning how to make them safer and more reliable, I think the goal is to try to get closer to the action so that they can be used for transportation and be integrated with aircraft and other things flying around in the airspace.
It is the next thing. It truly is, because this industry is moving so fast and it's becoming very, very popular. During this journey, or maybe even further back, what was one of your big aha moments?
Well, I've had several, but I think more recently is thinking about what a spaceport really is. And the aha is a spaceport doesn't have to be just a place where you can launch rockets from. It can also have a wide variety of different aerospace activities, including things like manufacturing or testing, research and development, education and training, workforce development, and in the not too distant future, point-to-point transportation through space. So with all those different kinds of things, I think there's an opportunity for many locations to have spaceports. We currently have 14 FAA licensed spaceports in the United States, but there's many others who would like to become a spaceport in the future. That's compared to 20,000 airports in this country. And so I can see the number of spaceports continuing to grow as space has more activity in the future.
Just like you have air traffic control, you're going to have spaceport traffic control,
Think so?
I
Yes.
assume. It involves a lot of growth, a lot of opportunity, I think, and it's definitely needed. I mean, there's a need there. It's not just something we want to do, but we're going to need to have this kind of support for a future. What has been one of your biggest challenges during this, and how did you overcome it?
Well, if you think back to the beginning of the space age, after the Soviet Union launched Yuri Gagarin into space, making him the first person to leave the planet, almost all of the things we've seen in space, especially the historic achievements and major milestones, have been done by the government. Whether we're talking about the X-15 program,
Hmm.
Project Mercury, Project Gemini, the Apollo moon landings, building and living and working on board the International Space Station, 30 years of flying the space shuttle, and so forth. It's been the government that's been the one that's been responsible for what goes on in space. But that is not necessarily going to be the case in the future, because private industry is playing an increasingly important role. And not everyone has seen that vision yet, but it's very exciting. There's a number of reasons for that. And I've certainly done what I can to help that transition. I think having industry more involved can result in lower costs. I think we can see more innovation than just with the government. I think there's an opportunity to be more open to taking risks. I don't necessarily mean safety risk, but just trying new and different things. I think we see the opportunity for new products, new customers, new markets. That's not the business of government, but that's what business itself is really all about. And then finally, new sources of funding and investment. Instead of just relying on congressional appropriations and using tax dollars, you can see all kinds of opportunities for additional funding to take care of the development that we're going to need to be more active in space.
I agree. And I mean, we can get creative about, getting those funds too, I mean, I'm just thinking about this. I mean, like putting the logo of, I don't know, Pepsi on the side of a rocket, giant logo going into space. I mean, people would pay big money for
It's
stuff like
true.
that.
And advertising has been one of the first things people think about. But I think really it's even a bigger transition than that companies are going to have their own things that they're going to want to do, whether it's manufacturing things in space or offering sort of a hotel in space or scientific research for new products, all kinds of things that we don't necessarily need to wait for permission and direction and funding from the government to do. As we're seeing more interest, lots of different companies. Just as a simple example, there's 3 companies right now that are building, testing, and flying spacecraft that are intended to carry people to space. SpaceX and Virgin Galactic and Blue Origin, and there are
Sure.
several others that are working on it.
Well, and you see all these, there's some famous people that have hopped on board and got a lot of PR out of it and got a lot of attention for it, which really, I mean, I think that's great if that helps, spread the word and help support the whole journey. I think that's what's important. So have any advice you'd like to share with our listeners?
Well, I think one of the things that those of us who work in aerospace have not done as well as we could is explain all the opportunities to become involved in space. I think in the past, people say, well, I'm not really that good at math. I'm certainly not a rocket scientist, so I can't be involved. Going forward, I see a very exciting future for us in space, and we're going to need lots of different kinds of people to do that. Yes, test pilots and scientists and engineers and doctors, for sure, that'll continue. But we're also going to need technicians and welders and computer software programmers and broadcasters and Uber drivers on the moon. We're going to need chefs. We're going to need hotel managers. Almost every vocation that you can think of, we're going to need for either large space stations or bases on the moon and Mars and other destinations. And so my advice to people is, hey, if you have a passion for space, there is a place for you in our future. So keep your dreams.
I truly believe that. I mean, and Yes, and that list is expansive. I mean, we've got to grow food. We have to have clean water. We have to be able to take care of ourselves while we're in space. I mean, it's just endless the number of different opportunities that are out there for people that may not even realize it. I think that's amazing. That word is getting out and people are starting to learn that and becoming more involved. Before we wrap up, I'd like to ask, do you have a passion project you'd like to talk about?
I briefly mentioned that, but there's so much going on in the space arena right now. But something that I'm very excited about is what is often referred to as point-to-point transportation. And what we're talking about is being able to fly from one point on the Earth to the opposite side of the planet in just an hour or two. And the technology is just about there. So now's the time to start thinking about laws and policies and regulations. How can we ensure that this can happen? Think about what that could mean. I just came back from a big space meeting in Sydney, Australia recently, and it took 20 hours to get there on a plane. And if I could have done that trip in a couple hours, wow, what a difference. So if you think about the benefits of that, whether it's responding to humanitarian crises or natural disasters or medical emergencies, or high priority parts from a factory that's down and losing $1 million a day because they're missing the thing from their supply chain, or more hopefully, and exciting for me, is people being able to visit relatives and friends and see other countries, other cultures, other societies, and maybe better understand what's going on in the rest of the world. I think that could be a very good thing to happen these days.
That technology can't get here fast enough, as far as I'm concerned. We needed that yesterday. I think that's a great passion project, and I believe it's going to come to fruition rather quickly. I've got high hopes. All right. Well, Dr. Nield, thank you so much for joining us here on our podcast today on LaunchPod. Would love to visit with you again and find out how things are moving along in the future.
Sounds great. Let's keep in touch.
Again. Right, will do. Be sure to join us where we connect, collaborate, and accelerate. We'd like you to join starsciences.org and get a free 1-year membership. Just enter the promo code FRIENDS321. Now, if you enjoyed this episode, leave us a review and subscribe. Until next time, keep looking up.
Don't miss an episode. Subscribe on your favorite streaming platform. Watch us on YouTube and follow us on social media. Stars Launch Pod, propelling us forward, one launch at a time.